Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, wonderful people. Ladies and gentlemen from all over Wakenya wazalendo, Wakenya watukufu. Karibuni kwa hii show yenyu, show kali, show mmekuja kupenda, show ambayo inapotimia midaa hii ya saa 4 mnajaja ili kuweza kutazama tulichowaandalia. Tunao mambo mengi ambayo tumewaandalia, and we have a great show lined up for you. This one is a good one. This one you must watch. Welcome. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Good to see you. Great to have you. It's another great show, another great edition for you. This is Africa 24. This is the prime edition. This is the evening show. Karibuni sana. Karibuni sana wadau. Karibuni, karibuni. Great to have you. Great to see you. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Nijuze unantazama ukiwa wapi. Karibu kwa hii show. Let's have a great one. Let's have a good one. This is your show. This is Africa in the evening, Africa edition. Africa 24 is your channel. Na karibu sana. Nijuze unantazama ukiwa maeneo gani. Karibu sana wewe ambao unantazama. Welcome. This is Africa 24 channel yako, channel ya kishua, channel ya nguvu. Hapa ndipo, hapa unapata uhondo kamili, hapa unapata story ambazo zimegonga vichwa vya habari, right? Aha. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Forgive us for tumekuwa na mshki lakini sasa vitu zimeanza kujiseti. Things are now aligning themselves, so we will be good to go throughout. Naona wengi tayari wametuma ujumbe. Si Roslyn Ochieng amekuwa wa kwanza akisema I am following. Asante sana Roslyn Ochieng. Nijuze unatazama ukiwa wapi. Let me know where you're watching us from. Where are you tuned in from? Asante sana. Namwona Roslyn amelike hii video. KL Mark amelike hii video. Asante sana. Like hii video hapo kwa Facebook. Like hii video hapo kwa YouTube. Zaidi ya yote, subscribe to Africa 24. Let us know where you're tuning in from. I see KL Mark ananiambia anantazama akiwa maeneo ya Masai Mara. Wapi hapo? Panaitwa Koilale, wako live. Asante sana. Goodia ako ndani, unasema hi Jakes, hope you are doing well. Hi, I think you meant hi ama ni here. Wah, sawa. Lakini ni sawa. I see you're watching from where? Okay, let me know where you're watching us from. Chico Felista, asante sana kwa kulike hii video. John Mtetezi, asante sana kwa kulike hii video. Like hii video kama unatuwatch from Facebook, kama unatuwatch from YouTube. Like hii video, subscribe to Africa 24. Let us have another awesome conversation. I am with many behind the scenes. I'll be letting them join very soon. But kuna mengi yamejiri. Roslyn Ochieng ananifuata akiwa maeneo ya Siaya, maeneo place ambayo inaitwa Game Siaya County. Karibu sana. Say hi to our good governor James Orengo. Asante sana watu wa Siaya, mko vipi? Karibuni sana. Watu wa Marsabit, watu wa Moyale, karibuni kwa hii show. Watu wa Mombasani vipi? Karibuni sana. Let me know where you are watching me from. Nijuze unatazama ukiwa wapi. From where is this finding you? Yeah, this is Africa 24. This is the evening's edition. This is your host Jakes, the moderator. Na tuko na show ngine kali. As I told you, akukosangi mambo Kenya, akukosangi vituko Kenya, and today we have prepared another one, a good one, only better than the other ones. So follow us, keep keen, fuata, usikose lolote. You'll be told what is happening. Tutakujuza kinachojiri hapa nchini. You remember the report we were talking about last week? And one of the requirements, or rather one of the proposals, actually two, that we are about to talk about, was the CDF. CDF, they want to really entrench it in the constitution. Why do they want to do that? Just before election, I think in July thereabout, Martha Koome and team declared the CDF unconstitutional. Now, the report from Kalonzo and team wants to have it in the constitution, but that's not really even an issue. There's a new proposal to have senators have their funding as well. It will become the oversight fund. But leo Leo kulikuwa na drama Tumezoea kuona haki yetu every other place but not in parliament. So seeing it in parliament was another thing. So let me play some clips hapa kule even as I introduce the show, yeah? Karibuni sana, let me know where you're tuning in from. Like this video, subscribe to Africa24. Wacha tuwe na show moja kali. Karibu sana wadau. This
the line. The government is always supporting their executive programs to the detriment of CDF. So what we are saying is that we have suspended all sittings, all government businesses until CDF is expanded to our schools. Now, in January, new students are joining from 1. There are those who are continuing in high school. So we are saying they must provide money now and not later. No CDF, no parliament. No CDF.
No CDF, no parliament sittings. Haki ya wabunge. Wadau. Niko hapa na Leo, ako pamoja nami. Karibu sana Leo, good to see you, great to have you. Hope you're doing well, my brother. But even before I even have you, let me just continue inviting many who are joining us. Jiunge nasi. Kulikoni uko bungeni, watu wamegoma. Watu wamegoma, why? Kwa sababu haki yao. CDF, haki yao. They were shouting very loud. They were causing all sorts of drama. Kulikuwa na drama si chache. The drama continued. The war was so much kwa sababu ya CDF. CDF ilifanya wakaungana na waka walk out of parliament saying haki yao, demanding their right. CDF.
The line, the government is always supporting their executive programs to the detriment of CDF. So what we are saying is that we have suspended all sittings, all government businesses until CDF is expanded to our schools. Now, if
no CDF, no parliament. I wish you so. I don't know if she's the women rep of Kisumu or thereabout. No, the women of Kisumu ni sister Raila Odinga, but she is an MP in Nyanza region.
She's a former women rep of. She's a former women rep of Kisumu and currently the MP of Kisumu West.
Yeah, correct. I'm forgetting her name, but I'll get it just now.
Rosa Buyu.
But that's not Rosa Buyu. Rosa Buyu, no, I'm talking of this lady over.
The government is always supporting their executive programs to the detriment of CDF.
Oh, that is Dr.
So what we are
Pamela.
saying is that we have suspended all sittings, all government businesses until CDF is expanded to our schools. Now, in January...
That is, I think that is Dr. Pamela, right? Women rep Migori County.
Migori. Is it Migori? Migori is the Muslim lady. If you can have your mic on, umejimute. I'll get the name. I'll get the name. But ladies and gentlemen, those were our members of parliament shouting their lungs out kwa sababu ya CDF. Ilikuwa ni stories za CDF. But you remember very well, vividly, just a couple of days ago, the cost of living. These guys have not walked out to protest the cost of living. Fuel prices zimekuwa zikirise. We haven't seen them walking out, but today they are walking out. Why? According to what I'm seeing, it's like it's the responsibility of our MPs to pay our children's school fees. Sawa. Leo Nyambane, habari ya leo. What do you make of this walkout, this protest happening from our MPs?
Thank you so much, Jex, Nico Salama. And I'm really glad to see you on the screen discussing these serious matters. I'm also really glad that I'm seeing Goody has always kept it here. Always KL Mark and Roslyn Ochieng all the way from Siaya. That is my home county. Greetings to the people who came. So maybe seeing that video is really disturbing, and I know you'll get another one where it all started in the floor of the house, and it's so sad that the sitting had to be interrupted. But you remember when we had one of the crucial bills presented in the parliament, that is the Financial Act 2023, a bill that was passed, and ever since it was passed, Kenyans have been overburdened day in, day out with the taxes and some of the levies that were recently declared illegal. The proceeding wasn't interrupted. It wasn't that heated the way it was today. And what surprised me and any Kenyan outside there is that whenever you see these MPs united together, then as a citizen, you need to know that there's nothing for you. That thing that brings MPs from both divides, that is the Kenya Kwanza and Azimio, and you see them protesting in unison, it's either their salaries or something that is going to benefit them more than they will benefit you. So that one will maybe enable me before I get into the main reason. If I'm to answer the question directly, like, do we really need the Constituency Development Fund, or that is the National Government Development Fund? I'll tell you, no, we don't need the CDF. And maybe in the course of this talk, I'll try to tell you the reason why we don't need the CDF. Besides the CDF, the National Government Constituency Development Fund being declared illegal, we have some other reasons that will make us realize that we don't need this CDF. We need the money, but we don't need this thing called national government, whatever, anything that is involving the members of parliament. And this is what has made us to have 70% of MPs who doesn't know their roles. This is what has made us to have a parliament that we are having hooligans and the people you call wash and the people who cannot even read their name and take an oath in parliament. It is because of this animal called CDF. So if today you will tell these MPs that we don't have CDF, I'm telling you the next parliament, we are going to have a breed of leaders. But as long as you have CDF, you'll never have leaders in that parliament.
Interesting sentiments. Karibu sana wewe ambaye unatutazama. We are discussing what happened today in parliament. We'll be playing more videos and clips for you just to show you a glimpse of what happened. But what caught my attention is how they were shouting, how they were shouting, how they walked out, how they were in unison to shout CDF and all. And they want it by January. They're saying that kids are reporting to school in January for months and all. But then again, I ask myself, how many students that CDF cater for? How much do they pay for? Do they clear the entire bill? Is it 1,000 bob per child? Is it the entire school fees? And then again, why don't they compile the names and hand it over to the Ministry of Education, and that money channeled directly to the schools? Why must it go through that channel? Why is it important for an MP to be the one who speaks about children's school fees in a government institution? Because I'm sure most of the CDF covers students in government institution, maybe private one or two, but majorly children in government institution, public schools, that is. Why do you think CDF now is a bone of contention, that they are united to shout it, yet when it's about Mwananchi, they are almost silent? Yes, Leo?
I think when you see these guys shouting that no CDF, no parliament, it will tell you, it will maybe raise some eyebrows and tell you that it is not about you. It is about them. If it was really about you, then I would have seen the parliament going down when we were having the finance bill, despite the fact that not all the Kenya Kwanza MPs who voted for the bill wanted the bill. But this bill was specifically going to interfere with the interest of the voters who voted for them. But when they looked at themselves, they found that there was nothing maybe affecting them. That is why they treated it the way they treated it, to an extent that some MPs even were absent. They weren't present in the parliament during these discussions. So today it's so chaotic to an extent. I've seen that video, how they handled the majority whip, that is Silvana Sosoro, who was trying to access the chambers. They made it impossible. So that one tells you that these MPs all along, they can make it impossible for the parliament sitting or proceeding to move on if they want. The only problem is that they choose what they want to do and what they don't want to do. So this specific issue of CDF is not about the members of parliament. We are having several months to opening of school, and the question that you've asked is really a good question. Why would the government give you money to pay into a government institution? Why do you need money from government to pay a school that belongs to the government? Why can't we just have the principals of these schools having a list or of those students who've been admitted and they can prove that they are unable to pay the school fee, so that this money can be channeled directly from the treasury to the Minister of Education or to the schools direct? Are these schools not having some boards that can be able to manage this money, that it has to pass through some politicians? What we call the CDF board is also a board of politicians. These people are elected, and some of them are single-handedly appointed by these MPs. They're puppets there. They're their relatives and their girlfriends and those people who voted for them to serve their own interest. So this CDF thing, actually, it is not even one of the maybe the roles of members of parliament. Maybe if you just allow me 1 minute. If you look at the Kenyan Constitution, I think it is Article 95, which talks of the roles of the National Assembly. The first role of the National Assembly, we are told that the National Assembly represents the people of the constituencies and special interests in the National Assembly. Number two, the National Assembly deliberates on and resolves issues concerned to the people. The number three, the National Assembly enacts legislation in accordance with Part 4 of this chapter, and the National Assembly determines the allocation of national revenue between the levels of the government as provided by Part 4 of Chapter 12. So allocation of revenue, of which if they're sincere, then they should determine the allocation of this revenue from the Treasury to the Minister of Education and ensure that this revenue, this money reaches the schools where the vulnerables will only have to walk in and learn. They don't need to go and fill some forms in the political offices and wait to be given 5,000 shillings when the school fees is around 30,000 shillings. Part C, the National Assembly appropriates funds for expenditure by the national government and other national state organs, and C, exercises oversight over national revenue and its expenditure. And the fifth part is that the National Assembly will review the conduct of the office of the President, the Deputy President, and other state officers. In other words, the role of MPs is also to impeach the President and the Deputy President and the Cabinet Secretaries who are not performing. And they can also exercise oversight of state organs. And lastly, the National Assembly approves declaration of war and extension of states of emergency. So none of the functions of an MP is to manage the Constituency Development Fund.
But then again, Leo, if you go to part 2, or rather Article 2 of that part of the Constitution, Article 95, number 2 says that the National Assembly deliberates on and resolves issues concerning the people. Now, could they argue that one of the issues that concerns the people is paying their school fees? Of course, I'm trying to get the CDF Act and all and how it came into being. But think about it. Can that also sell?
I can just answer you that one straightly.
Issues concerning Mwananchi is why they had to bring in CDF.
I can answer that one straightly. When it comes to issues concerning Mwananchi, there's no single day that Mwananchi have claimed that they are unable to take checks to the bank, or they are unable to carry cash and pay to school fees. The only thing that the Mwananchi is complaining is that the school fees is high, they cannot be able to afford. So they had an opportunity. I remember that the government increased. We used to have some, actually education isn't that free, but it is subsidized, yeah? So there's that part amount that was being paid by government. And I think the last regime, they increased the amount that the government was paying. Specifically, those kids who are going in day school, it should be automatically free. You only pay for the lunch. So that is the opportunity that they need to come up with legislation that ensures that For example, we have the district schools, or we have the former district schools and the provincial schools. Yeah, you cap the school fees and say that this is the amount that is supposed to be paid. It's amount that is reasonable. And for the kids who are not able to pay this amount, they should come up with some laws that can be able to identify the vulnerability rate to know that Jex, this child is not able to pay because of A, B, C, D. Then they can be given some cards, they can be given some the waivers so that they can just walk and learn in school. It happens in most countries. So what happens here is that even if you look at this CDF, go and look at the list of the beneficiaries. Most of them come from rich families. Number two, there are those people who are close to the members of parliament and maybe their political representatives. These are cases whereby you find that a child comes from Siaya and this child is getting CDF in Nairobi, or this child from Siaya is getting CDF in Turkana, simply because the parents have got some good relations with that MP who is in Turkana. So all these things is a scam. This CDF thing has been used as a political tool to manipulate the voters, whereby the voters feel that if I don't vote in a specific direction, my kid is already in standard 8. Actually, the ones who are normally manipulated are the ones whose kids are candidates in the electioneering year. My kid is in standard 8. If I don't vote this person, the next year, my kid will not be able to be given the bursary or something like that. So this thing to do with bursary, some things to do with education should be specifically given to the Minister of Education. They can manage it. Building of schools and infrastructure. We saw it with the Magoha. Magoha walked in these schools and will ask the head teacher, you've been here, there's amount that the ministry do send. Why do you want to tell me that you don't have a classroom? You don't need to wait for the members of parliament to come and build for you a toilet, and these schools are collecting fee. These schools are getting money allocation from the government. You don't need to wait for your MP to come and do a perimeter wall. So all this kind of nonsense we've been fed with for years, and it has made us believe that CDF is one of the most important things that ever happened in this country after maybe Raila Odinga in 2015.
According to the act, Mr. Leo, one of the reasons they said, and of course they called it the CDF Act, which was later on amended to be NGCDF. One of the things they say that the reasons for it is to allow the national government to ensure a specific portion of its annual budget is devoted to constituencies for purpose of infrastructural development, wealth creation, and of course fight against poverty at constituency level. I agree with that, yeah. But now, is it the MP who really ought to do this? Maybe some may say yes, but think about it. There is a committee for it, right? Each constituency has a NGCDF committee I think it's chaired by the MP. The role of the MP is to chair. Of course, I understand they are fighting to have that fund for them, but they are only speaking about school fees. Yet, there is more to what CDF ought to do, not just pay school fees. It's supposed to create infrastructural development. It's supposed to create wealth creation, of course, through empowering people and all. But basically, they have only tailored it down to paying of school fees, and Kenyans have been lied to over and over again that it's the role of an MP is to offer bursaries. And you have rightfully read from the Constitution some of the roles of the MP. But bursary, if you go to campus, for instance, they get loans, or rather they get help loans. There is a structure for that. If truly we were to help our students, don't you think it would have been wise if we can introduce such a help loan for the secondaries, so that you apply, and the criteria that now Kenya Kwanza is using, that there are those who get full scholarship, those who get partial, those who get something, so that an MP doesn't come out and just give 1,000 bob and says, I've been issuing bursaries. Yet we know very well our school fees is beyond 1,000 shillings. Some even go to the extent of saying, we are giving bursaries, we are constructing toilets, we are building blah, blah, blah. Yet these are ways that money either is lost through this CDF, because some counties some constituencies are doing so badly. We have nothing to show about it. Don't you think there was another way to go about it rather than just saying the MP is the one to issue the bursaries, is the one to, act in this kind of ways they have acted today? Were there no any other way we would have supported our students?
There are so many ways that this thing can be actualized. Actually,
Mm,
according to the amended the National Government Constituency Development Act, we the MP is just a patron, but that is in
mhm,
books. But in reality, MP has got a say. The people
mhm,
who are elected, those board members, those people, you cannot be elected in that CDF committee if you are not close to the MP or if you don't have the blessing of the MP. So the MP is a
mhm,
patron who is holding the remote. He's a remote controller. He's the one who is controlling
mhm,
all these things. I come from a constituency and I see these things happen. You cannot just go and contest that. Okay, they won't ask you some of your management background so that you can become the CDF manager. What they'll ask you is, did you vote for so and so? Did you work with so and so? Did they see you with so and so? So such are the things that are happening. That's the reality on the ground. And as you've said, we've seen the national, the Higher Loans Education Board, how it has been managed. It's a
mhm,
simple thing. Just like I also fault what the current government is doing as far as determining the kind of scholarship they give to those ones
mhm,
joining university. What they
mhm,
should do, this is a loan. They should say, if you're joining university, every student is given a loan. And it is a loan
mhm,
because after you've been employed, for you to get that help clearance certificate that can enable you maybe to even hold some senior positions in the country, you have to pay back that loan. So it will be upon you to decide, do I need this loan? Because obviously, if you have money, you won't take loan. You'll use your money. By that, those people with money will just pay directly. But if you don't have money, you'll take the loan. Then after you get employment, then you'll have to get the money deducted. And this one will also make the government responsible, because for them to regain that money, they need to create jobs. The
mhm,
government cannot give you, if the government will be giving you loan, and it will be upon them to create jobs for you because they need their money back. So I cannot give you
mhm,
loan, then I leave you go and maybe die without even getting employed. So it will
mhm,
also make the government look for ways of creating jobs. The same can also happen in our secondary schools. Why can't we just say that all public schools? Actually, this idea of boarding school is also a waste of time, because you don't need to be in a boarding school. This was an idea because schools were really far away and people will not be able to commute from one place to another. And it also brought a lot of discrimination. And until they had to spread and call schools national and such like kind of things. Why can't you just
mhm,
make it that if you are going to a day school, it is free of charge?
mhm.
If you
I
want a
want us
boarding
to
school, you
listen
pay
into
for it.
some of the reasons why
Actually,
they
you don't
walked
need to
out.
pay. They told
Mhm,
us education is free.
mhm,
You make it free. It is free of charge. So if you want some sorts of luxury, you want your kid to be carried by a bus, you need some special meal, then you pay for it. Yeah,
okay.
I used to have an uncle who would tell me, if I wanted you to get fed, I would have taken you to a restaurant, not to school. But the fact that I've taken you to school shows that you only need to go there and learn. So those people who want
Mhm,
to learn will go and learn.
mhm. Now, when you think about all this and what the MP was trying to raise, that they have no money um, issue bursaries for kids reporting in January. Now, I think CDF is around 150, 100, 150 there, about million per year, right? Um, do they come to parliament and show us that in my 1 year as an MP, this is how I have spent? We see the control of budget, we see the auditors rather, audit counties. When they go to these counties, constituencies rather, do they really tabulate to the last coin how they spend this money, and factually to prove? Because you remember, during Sonko's impeachment, there was this allegation of having ghost students, where money would go to students who don't exist, to schools that don't exist. But eventually, this money was issued to people, or rather, someone was a beneficiary of this money. Um, do we have a very clean records in all these constituencies where an MP has not formulated a way to siphon money that's meant for CDF, right? Yeah, for CDF, but somehow ends up in their pocket. Could we be having such stories in these constituencies?
Oh, that is a good observation. This money is never accounted for, and that is why they are shouting on top of their voices, because they know they are the beneficiaries of this amount, and there is a lot of
Mm-hmm.
duplication. Remember,
Mm-hmm.
we are having the governors who are also giving some scholarships. Yeah, we are having the MCAs. We are having these other corporate organizations like Equity, the KCB, that are giving out scholarships. So I don't think this kind of bursary is such a great deal that can make life stop. It's totally greedy MPs who want some loose money that they use as pocket money, that they use to manipulate and to buy vote. If today, Jex, you remove CDF, I'm telling you, you'll get surprised that highest percentage of your elected MPs currently will not make it back to the parliament. And if you meet any Kenyan and ask them why they elected an MP, or do you ask them to rate their MPs, they normally tell you CDF, CDF, forgetting that the CDF can run without your MP. For example,
Mm-hmm.
in Kibra, when we had the late Okot, MP, the brother to the former Okot, Okoth was diagnosed with cancer, and he took like more than 2 years in hospital. He was never there physically, but his brother was the one who was managing CDF. So that one tells you how these CDF managers are also acquired. So you don't need these guys to manage a CDF. The government should just channel this money to the Ministry of Education. You just need a minister of education or a CS of education who is focused, somebody who can run, who can manage that a department. You don't need jokers like Machogu. Somebody who
Mm-hmm.
can be felt, somebody who can make policies that can ensure that the money that the government is giving for
Mm-hmm.
is used to develop the infrastructure. Actually, the government pays teachers. What do you need? What does the school need money for? Just for the
Mm-hmm.
development, yeah, like repairing the classrooms, uh, developing the laboratories, things like the libraries, because the teachers are being paid by the government. So the government, you cannot tell me that a government that is promising to build for you houses cannot be able to build classrooms or cannot be able to repair the laboratories. So it is just
Mm-hmm.
a matter that we have to say that some people are joking. In
Okay.
school, we normally have the head teacher. The head teacher is the manager there. Each and every school is having a board of governors. What are these people governing if they have to wait for the CDF or the MP to come and build for them a toilet in school?
Mm-hmm.
This
Now,
money that they are
now let
claiming
me
for
ask you.
bursary
Let
to
me
be
ask
taken to
you.
the
We
Ministry of
are
Education.
using
The
money to
money for
pay.
roads to the Ministry of Roads. Yes.
We are using money to pay for our students in the name of its bursary, but this money is never refunded back. Like those in campus after they work, or rather after their education, and I can relate to what Goodyear is saying. After they graduate and they are employed, the money they get from help is channeled back, or rather is paid back. But the CDF, the money from bursary, it's never paid back. This is money that I can almost say is money at times lost. It has no value, in the sense that it doesn't come back to the government. It doesn't bring at times what is intended to achieve, because we still have students who don't complete their studies because they didn't have school fees. We still have vulnerable children who, because of poverty and all, didn't reach the levels they wanted, because probably they are not known by the MP. They have no, as you said, probably they voted for the opposition, or for a different candidate than the one who won. Now, eventually, this money only goes to selected few. Why don't you think the government, or people, even these parliamentarians, why do you think it's almost a scare for them not to create a fund, just like help, to cater for these students. And when these students go to the universities and all, it is a continuous fund. Then when they are employed, it's deducted from their salary, just like they do to us after we graduated. Why don't, if truly the need is to educate as many, the need is to help as many, the issue is to bring as many on board who can be helped through funding, why is it impossible for an MP to think in that direction? Mr. Leo?
The MPs cannot think in that direction. All these things that we are saying here, they are privy to, and they know what is best for the country. The only difference is that we are having politicians, we don't have leaders. Had we had leaders, then they will be thinking of the prosperity of the country and the prosperity of the children. Most of these people, the MPs that we have, for example, the ones who are 40 years and above, who are the majority, they went to school through the bursaries. People like William Ruto, they didn't pay even a single cent when they were joining universities. And they are now paying loans. And that is why we are having some laws that demand that before you get some official positions, you have to clear the loan. So those people who keep on dodging the loans, it means the more you dodge the loans, then you should forget about these prestigious positions to make more money. So these MPs are there for business. They are there to make money. They are not there to help you. They are there to appear that they are helping you, yet they are not helping you. So it is evident if you look at our parliament, look at the bills the way they normally get discussed. If it is a bill about the salary increment, their salary increment, even those ones who are sick will leave their sick beds and will have to attend, and they'll not waste time. But if it is something that is touching on citizens or something that is touching on their voters, then they'll pretend to be doing something, yet they are not doing anything. They have the solutions. But the problem is, I heard a certain song yesterday talking of Sisi Ndio Wajinga, and it is true. We are the ones who are always quick to defend them. We are the ones who are being used as the shield. Like today, they were shouting, using our children, the poor children, as a shield so that they can be able to get money. Yet in reality, most or majority of the poor children don't get this CDF. And if indeed they do get this CDF, you've been watching news each and every day. People have been covering students who passed exams and cannot be able to pay their school fee. And they get help from some well-wishers and some corporate organizations like the Equity and the KCB. So do you want to tell me that this CDF has never seen these kids, or they don't have some strategies? And if at all we need this thing called the Constituency Development Fund, then the people who should be given such amount or such money are the members of county assembly. These are the people who are connected directly to the people who are in the village. They're the people who can be able to name the schools within their wards one by one. They can be able to name the teachers there. They know the students who go there, the ones who struggle to pay school fees and the ones who don't. And the best person who can determine a child who is poor is the head teacher in that school. They're the ones who know these kids who are bright and able to pay school fees because they are with them. But you cannot tell me an MP who is in Nairobi from Sunday to Monday to Monday only goes back home if there is a funeral, and a funeral that they know is of somebody who is a little bit popular that will attract population so that they can be able to go and respond to their opponents, or they can only be able to address their constituents during funeral. They cannot call a meeting to ask you what you people want. In the parliament, in this act, their constituency needs to come up with a proposal. In your village, go and ask if there's anybody who've been called in a meeting to give a proposal of some of the projects that they want to be done within the constituency. What people wait is MP amesema tunaletewa basi. A school is being given a bus and that school doesn't even have a laboratory. So what are our priorities? So that is why this kind of things called CDF is a wastage of public money. This money is being mismanaged and embezzled by our MPs and their so-called CDF management board. That is why you find them buying school buses to schools that doesn't even have toilets or laboratories, or schools that students doesn't even have desk and they are being given a school bus, and it is a day school. They don't go for any outing. You find the schools are being given perimeter wall. They're putting perimeter wall, yet the school is still having some mud rooms made of mud, but they're having a perimeter wall. So I'm wondering what somebody wants to steal in the school that they have to put a perimeter wall. So this all joke, and we don't have a parliament. We don't have a parliament. And maybe the thing that I can plead with the citizens, that we try to tell our MPs that we don't need this CDF.
Now,
At least we
let
can
me let
be
me let
able
me
to manage it.
let's try to do the maths. Let's try to do the maths for our viewers. Now, according to statistics, the very latest, the children that start for their KCP examination this year were 1,1.40657 million Kenyans who start for their KCPE. Now, if we were to divide that number by the number of constituencies that we have around, is it 290 or 291? 290 thereabout, yeah. If we were to divide that number, it's about 5,000 per child. 5,000 per child. If all the students, if all the students in those who start for their KCPE last year, if they were to be divided, I'm imagining, yeah. Sorry, have I done that math correctly so that I don't confuse our viewers? We have 2,000. We have 1.4 million. What do you call them? Candidates who sat for their KCPE, correct? Let's do the math together. 1,406,557. Up to that point, are we together, Bonaleo? I want you to help me so that we see if for example, we were to begin by saying, let's divide that number to get, let's say, for instance, per constituency, right? So let's divide by the number of constituencies. We have 290, I think, right? 290 constituencies. That is 48, 4,850. Call it 851. Now, that is to say, if everything is held constant, if we divide all those students by the number of MPs, each constituency will have about call it 5,000, right? 5,000. So 5,000 students. Now, 5,000 students, if you are to take them to high school, all of them, the 5,000 per constituency, we are talking of, we have divided the number that did the KCPE just recently, divided by 290. Of course, these factors are not constant. We have constituencies that have very huge number of students. So if we were to divide, if the numbers are anything to go by, 5,000 students, is there an MP who offers bursary to 5,000 students and actually almost pay full amount, if not half or at least a quarter of the funds? Because we should work with numbers. What do you think? Is there an MP who pays close to half, full amount, or even a quarter if the numbers I've given you is anything to go with?
I don't think that one doesn't happen. We are not yet even close to that. What I know is that we have some few who get that money, and actually the money that they're giving you is not going to help you. They're partially paying that school fee, and still you still have to go back to your pocket. So that is the reason why the money is never given to those people who are poor, because somebody who is poor cannot afford to pay even maybe quarter of the school fee. And the school fee is, let's say, 35,000, and you're giving them 5,000. It is better you don't give them. It's better you don't give them. So we should not use that one as an excuse to ask for a CDF, because if they talk of the national government Constituency Development Fund, it is not only used for bursary. Some of them, I don't know what they do with this money. Some of them claim that this money, majorly, the only thing that we are normally fooled to believe is that it is used for education purposes. Yet, if you look at most of the projects that are done within the constituency, most of these projects are done directly by the national government. For example, if you see a road that has been tarmacked, we have the Kenya Rural Roads Development, we have the Kenya National Highways. So such departments are the ones who normally participate in these developments. So you'll find that some MPs will say they normally revolve around the schools because that is where they know they can easily deceive people. Some will also tell you that, okay, because national security is also under them, they'll want to build some structures in the name of police posts. They'll want to build some structures in the name of the chief's officers. Nothing much. There's nothing much with this money. And
now let me equally ask you: when they construct a small room, they create a very huge banner, and almost all credit goes to that individual. It's our money, came from the national government, but once it lands on the constituencies, you find toilet so and so, of course, NGCDF, blah blah blah, national government, blah blah blah, county, whatever, constituency, and then the one that is written in very huge letters is the name of the MP. All these gimmicks, really. Should we even brand things that are constructed? Should we brand them? Is it necessary?
No, branding should be done to show that you own that thing. It's wrong. And you'll find that it's so funny that somebody builds a two-door toilet, or let me say a toilet with two holes. Then this person is going to do a big banner that is costing over 50,000 just to write their name over there. 3D, whatever. I don't know, those people who do some adverts and designing, they know to show that they built. So the banner is more
expensive than the project.
More expensive than the project has been done. All this is wastage. All this is wastage. And maybe I'll just tell you, our MPs, they don't work for us. I think there's a video here to tell you how the MPs work. I had a certain MP complaining about this thing, about the oil. They work in the funerals. That is the only work they do. They don't work in parliament. So we just need to call on them and say that we've not been having a parliament. We just need to restore some sanity in our parliament. We need to recall these MPs. So it is upon the citizens now to take the mantle and say that, okay, we've watched all this kind of carelessness for long. So the first thing that can help us is to do away with this CDF. Once you do away with the CDF, before somebody tells you they want to become an MP, they'll have to think first, what is the role of an MP?
Okay.
Currently,
I am a Kenya Kwanza nominated senator, specially elected under my party by my party leader, His Excellency William Ruto. And I want to speak authoritatively today, and I've told my colleagues here, and I will continue to say it to the Gusii community. Whatever is happening is not any doing of the president. Whatever is happening, and if you have noticed, and I've told my colleagues, anytime something is being cooked by those people who think they have the powers around our party leader, around the president, they always wait for him to leave the country.
It is systematic.
We have seen it in every single. We have seen it in every.
The president is involved.
We have seen it.
Has been attacking our community. The president
knows.
The president. No. The president is.
I will say this. I will say this by saying.
The president is attacking our community.
The one thing
we cannot allow that. No. The president is targeting the Kisii community.
Can I give you the seat when you finish?
Targeted William Masita from policy holders. Now it is this madam. You are defending the president.
So I am speaking and I am giving my speech so that people can understand, because these are the things that are happening. It happened even during my time when I was being removed, and this is not doing of the president. And so what we are going to say, and I will continue to say, is that the president has nothing to do with this. And as a matter of fact, because we signed the Kenya Kwanza Women Charter, I am here because I'm also upset, because it is a woman leader who is being removed, because it is a woman who is being victimized. And so I want to say that those powers that be, or they think that surround there, at the end of the day, the president has got the interest of the Abagusi community, but we urge him to come forward and stop this, because our community is actually being targeted. So therefore, this is the message that I have sent. This is the message that I continue to give to my people, and I will even continue to tell my leaders. Thank you. We, as the Gusii community, we have agreed, and I am part of the Gusii community, na tumekubaliana that our people cannot just be removed, plucked and removed. But one thing I told my colleagues is that there are people around the president. They wait for the president to leave the country, they start doing their own things. Kwa hivyo, this thing that you're seeing that is happening with the control of budget, the president has nothing to do with it. That is the point I was putting out. And I also stand in the same position as the Gusii community to say, watu wetu hawezi tolewa tukiwa tumenyamaza. Remember, even my case when I was being suspended, they waited for the president to go to New York. Is when they wakaanza kuchokora. So, and that is what people need to know, that the president has the interest of the Abagusi community. He really has that interest. Shida ni wale watu wako around him. Na tumesikia, for instance, there was an event that my colleague Senator Cherargei, akaenda akasema ati Wakisii wote ndio wanapewa contracts za mabarabara, Wakisii wote ni wachawi na barogi, things like that. And I was like, you can see the people who are talking, the people who are surrounding the president and trying to alienate the Gusii community. It is not the president. By the way, tumetoka pale press conference, and I have personally sent a message to the president, and I have told him that it is high time he must intervene, because these people are becoming too much.
Looking for a trusted site to grow your money at Fair Crash?
Leo, I don't know if you're still there with me. That clip, I played it, but these were MPs coming together to fight a different fight. They were fighting. Leo, are you with me? Okay, but I'll be explaining even as Leo is coming back. These were MPs trying to trying to defend the control of budget. The control of budget today, ndio tume realize she's a Kisii. All this while she has been working, we didn't know she was a Kisii until today, most of us. And you remember the issue of the 26 minutes billion zilienda hivyo 15 billion. You remember? We kept quiet. Alishikwa jana, leo alikuwa kotini. Now, this is what these MPs were fighting for. This one.
The other area is borrowing without a plan. This one, I'm using it in a very colloquial sense, in the sense that I have been approving payments of public debt, and I've looked at what we are paying for. Many of those things cannot be identified. You just find a name of why we borrowed. You cannot trace it to anything. You cannot tell what the money was spent for, and therefore there was no economic gain from that borrowing. It is just like taking Fuliza and then you go to the bar and drink it all. You go back home, you'll find your family hungry, and you'll find all those other things. So I don't really need to gainsay this. That is what we have been doing for a long time. I have discussed with the Auditor General, and we have said, can we track these loans and see what we did with them? Yes, I think it will help us going forward. But just so you know, honorable members, I did a report to the Committee on Public Debt, and they told me, please check on the loans which we have taken recently in 2022. Tell us if we can link them with a project. They were shocked. We could not. We found some ambiguous definitions of the loans, and the Treasury could not tell us what really we were going to do with those loans. So unless we wake up and link our borrowing to actual economic activity will not come out of this board. That I can say without fear of contradiction. Put it on the front page. Every paper.
Wapatie nini
hapa kidogo.
play of not defender for the 4 counts.
Simu yake ya Samsung A3 yenye thamani mapafu kinyume na sheria. Maelezo ni haya: tarehe kumuingia Said Salim Al-Pistol benki ya Chana iliyomiliki 6 cards of
I hereby admit her to.
Now, that is control of budget, Madam Margaret Nyakongo, I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. And the MPs came together to defend her. In fact, they even brought the tribal card, just like you saw them fighting for CDF. When it is about them, when it's about a community, they unite. But when it's about us all, like the cost of living, that is where they draw the big line. What do you make of this, Leo, even as we continue? Before we'll come to the issues surrounding the control of budget, but let's polish and finish up on the Constituency Development Fund and how the MPs came together just to protest, demanding for these funds. If I may ask you, whenever they come together, is it always for the common good of Mwananchi?
I think the video that you just played is evident. I've seen the energy that they are using. Like in that press conference, we had both MPs from the Azimio and the Kenya Kwanza, only for them to disagree. Kibagendi and Gloria Orobia disagreed when Gloria tried to condemn the act but defend the president, and Gloria was doing it for the reasons best known. Everybody knows she's a nominated senator, so even if the president steps on her toe, she will cry but say, "President, you did it unknowingly." So that was expected of her. But if we would have had Kisi Hawker maybe being discriminated in Eldoret or somewhere in Nairobi, nobody would have called such a press conference. But because in Kenya we have 2 tribes, we have the tribe of the rich and the tribe of the poor. So that the moment people will know that. But because he's in Wajinga, a rich man will come and tell you that he's more poorer than you, that he belongs to you and sell to you a narrative that, okay, we are the hustlers. Yet the person who tells you he's a hustler, he's the opposite of what he's saying. That's the problem that we have. Although I also think that however much maybe the law also need to take its course, the allegations that the lady needs to go to court and prove her innocence because in the public, the court of public opinion, we might think she's innocent, but we are not magistrates. The only thing that we need to fault the government is the timing, and these are some of the things that hurt Uhuru Kenyatta's government and somehow tarnished his legacy. There's normally the timing. This lady presented some crucial information during the dialogue over there, the information that revealed the government as incompetent, the information that showed that, okay, there's something that can be done, maybe to lower the cost of the living, but it's just because the government is not being responsible. So the information might have been damaging to the government, but this was not the right time for the government maybe to save their face, because now they are now trying, when you do this, even if the lady was guilty, instead of now going to clear her name, then he will now bring a tribal card and bring the card of witch hunt. And at the end of the day, the court of public opinion, that lady is innocent. We've already declared her innocent based on the timing. But had this one happened before such kind of revelations, then everything would have taken its course and the truth will have been known. But as it stands now, nobody will be able to know the truth, whether the accusations are true or not true. Maybe the court will make a decision, and if the court makes a decision otherwise and different from what the court of the public opinion have already seen, then we'll say the courts are wrong, simply because the case has already been interfered with. So the timing was really poor. People don't just act like that. They would have allowed maybe people to forget about this lady. Is when they try to do such kind of things. So that was really, it was really wrong politically. You know, in politics, everything is normally read politically. Today, if Okia or Mutata maybe commits some crime and is arrested, people will say that he's been arrested because he's opposing the government, because he's taken so many cases to court against the government, and he will win it in the public opinion. But when reality is now checked, maybe we might find that he's also having some mistakes that he committed. So that is what destroyed the legacy of Uhuru Kenyatta. And the same thing is also going and has already destroyed though William Ruto doesn't have any legacy, but he's having a legacy of borrowing loans. I've seen Zenyagaka is here. He will tell us India has given us loans, and yet, you know, India is one of the poor countries that we have in Asia. So we are now going to borrow from India. Let me allow him time.
Zenyagaka, I see you. Good to have you in the show tonight, even as we discuss issues making headlines. Now, we are asking ourselves tonight, do we really need the Constituency Development Fund? We are asking ourselves, really, is it necessary that it is the MP who decides that this number of children ought to get bursaries, this number of children will go to school, this number of children will receive this amount of money, yet at times it's not always enough. It doesn't meet, not all students get these funds. So according to you, do you think really we need this Constituency Development Fund, given that we saw the MPs today demonstrating, demanding for this money to be released before January? What do you think?
Habari yenu leo, habari jet. Sijua ni kwa nini waliweka hiyo Constituency Development Fund, kwa sababu wao kazi yao ni kutengeneza sheria, sio social security. Hiyo ni social welfare ya ku distribute the funds according to the needs of the people. Na hao tumewachagua watengeneze sheria and things like that. So why could they really have had that money? Even the primitivity of our society. No, Jakes, the money should not be given to the parliamentarians to give to the people, because they are only going to, even in UDA, they are going to give mostly UDA. Even in ODM, they are going to give mostly ODM. Alafu wapatia watu wengine. So the funds should not be, kama kitu ya education should go through the Ministry of Education, ama ni ministry, ama ni nini. So the Constituency Development Fund is completely, yani ni kitu kama ya ushenzi sana, kwenda kwa bunge alafu ndio wapatia watu. Wengine tuliona vile wana, those members of parliament that are contributing are saying that no funds, no meeting of parliament. The funds should it should really be out of that parliament. I believe the court has said it is against the law. That's very true. It is not for them to be distributing the funds, to be very, very clear and simple. Very simply, it should be the social welfare of our society that develops how that funds is distributed, not the parliament. A legislature is to set the laws up of our society and things like that. You too. Now you yeah, Gloria Rioba, na Kibagendi and all this other stuff. It is, I mean, now you Mama Nyakama Bao alishikwa. It is not the Ruto's idea that you should catch this person, leave this person. So when she was let go in the parliament, I mean in the court, was it Ruto who said it's okay for her to go? No, Ruto cannot be that ignorant. So hiyo ni siasa ile ya ushago huku Kisii. Now the politics of Gusii has gone down so much. When Mzee Chai was there, when Mwea, Sagini, we were young. We were more serious than we are right now. Where we are right now is ignorant of the first order.
Okay.
Was Babu. It is not. It should not be anything like that. So Nyakango should be defended by ODM, and Gloria Robert should be taken out to court, to jail. What has the court got to do with anything then? So they should be very, very clear. Yeah, go ahead.
Now, Leo, let me ask you. Yeah. Whenever an MP is in trouble, it's very easy for them to gang up. You know, like when they came out for that presser, they were a team. They were almost speaking in one voice until she mentioned the president. And I agree with Nyagaka that it is interesting that Kisii politics has really deteriorated to this, because once you commit acts of crime, I don't think community should come out and defend you, right? You should defend yourself in a court of law. In any case, this is what we know, that you are innocent until you are proven guilty. Why should we defend your innocence yet you have not been proven guilty? So when one is arrested, either guilty or not, shouldn't we allow the courts to do its duties? Because once you're arrested because of a certain crime. Why do you think that pressure was necessary if truly they were fighting for a just cause?
No, these things, I think it's just a coincidence. You know what? We are in a country, when something happens, it will always have to be connected to another thing. And the politicians that we have are majorly the opportunists. They are just waiting for an opportunity. Like today's act has given those politicians from Kisii an opportunity to try to pretend that they value their community. If you heard Kibagendi saying their community is being targeted, but these people, when they're doing their things, when they're doing their dealings, they don't involve community. The kind of circles that they're talking of, their community are not part of the circle. The monies that they get, they don't involve community. But when they lose these kind of opportunities, then they come and start telling you, you see, they are targeting our community. So people are running away from from personal responsibility. So they want to make it a community a problem so that they can be able to incite others. It only becomes a community issue if the entire community has been involved. Look at what happened in, I liked what happened in Mavoko when the houses were being built. And I would agree with the MPs saying that, okay, you see, demolishing this thing is targeting the Kamba community. If the Kambas were the majority who are there and whose houses have been brought down. But here's a situation whereby you go and drop one single house that belongs to Silvana Sosoro, then people start saying you're targeting the Kisii community. Is Silvana Sosoro synonymous to Kisii? So when he was building that house, even the fundi who worked in that house are not from his community. So it's high time these people should just learn to take some personal responsibility. And there's some communities that have ever done that. We've seen this guy called Evans Kidero. His case is active, the Mumias issue. I've never seen people going to say that they're targeting our community. The governor Obado, the former governor, I think his murder case resumed. I don't know today or tomorrow. But this kind of nonsense, they are targeting community. These are blackmail by the politicians. It happens everywhere. You'll see MPs saying that, okay, you're targeting my community. Communities are never targeted. It is individuals who are being targeted. So if you are given an individual responsibility and you do a mistake, you should be ready to take some individual mistake. If it was a collective responsibility, then we can talk of targeting the community. And this lady has never represented the Kisii community anywhere. His employment as the controller of budget was not meant to represent. She wasn't representing the Kisii. Had she been an MP, then we can talk of you are targeting the constituents, because an MP represents the entire constituency. But she was employed at a personal level. She wasn't employed as a delegation.
I agree, and it makes me ask Nyagaka this question. Even MPs are elected individually or from a personal level, to represent a constituency. But whenever they fall on the wrong side of the law or their court, you'll find them play several cards. Today, one of the cards that was well played was that of it's our community being targeted. Another card that is so famous is they're targeting women. They're targeting the less fortunate and all. So let me ask you, when someone commits a crime, until proven guilty and all, should we be quick to blame the community, to say it's a certain community being targeted, or it's the women being targeted, or it's the marginalized? Why is that card so easy to use? Is it to whip the masses, to whip emotions? Why is it always easy for politicians to use those cards?
I think, Jake,
sell out of propaganda.
You hit it on the head. It is always available. It's always there, and the people fall for it. That is the most stupidest things that anybody can advance to the people, because really it should be the courts to decide, and you cannot say the courts can be for ODM or can be for UDA or can be for this. No, the courts is always neutral. It cuts both ways. So if you think that today the court is ruling for you, tomorrow somebody will rule against you. Some of us, that's why we really respect somebody like Odunga, even if he was ruling against the government that we liked, but he followed what was written in the law. He was using the law, what was passed in the court, in a legislature that is written in the Constitution of Kenya. That is what Odunga was using. And back then I was arguing with a lot of people, and they were like, you are for Jubilee and you are supporting Odunga. But he's using what is in the law. Why do you write this law if you don't want it to be used? So, yeah, it is, to come back to Jake's what you're saying, it is the cheapest thing that is available there. And our politics has gone down from even the Moi time when you guys were not even around, were even not born, to now. It has gone down maybe 100 times. But the wale ambao wanajua kama like the likes of Raila Odinga, they use it to their own advantage, and that to stand up for that is very, very difficult, because we always follow the cheapest argument, and that is what we go for. But when we have to follow the law, it is very difficult, and it takes a long time. But the propaganda that was going on, maybe like today, in Gloria Yoba, in Osoro, it is cheap to jump into that, and then for any argument, and that is for the day. So if for you young generation guys have to follow the rules and really develop the Constitution of Kenya, develop the rules of Kenya for what they should be, you should argue from the point of view of the law that is already established there. but hii wanakwenda huko is not even there. You know, I mean, who the yes, but if they are doing wrong, they are doing wrong. You shouldn't have to support anything just because you are in this group or that group. No, that's the height of hypocrisy and stupidity in and of itself. But let us be very, very clear that what went on today, as you see, I mean, personally, we have seen the argument of Kisi politics going down the drain, down. You guys cannot even remember Mtu kama Msenya Chai, who would speak the facts even to Moi's face and tell him what it is. But yet, kutoka huko nyumbani, I am from Yaribari, he was defeated by the people who are very common, who don't even have a penny. And even Msenya Chai was a billionaire. So the argument ya kuambia watu wanasikia vile wanasikia, wanapiga kura mahali wanataka kupiga. Sio kuambiwa, sio kuwa forced kupewa pesa. You know, nowadays what is going on a lot is giving away the money. You know, the guy comes here and gives a lot of money, and this guy comes here and gives a lot of money. And that's what is really ruining Kenya's politics today. You know. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Leo, let me ask you this. When you look at our politics, whenever an MP does a crime, whenever a leader does a crime, those are the excuses they come up with. But when it is seriously about mwananchi, right? Like, we didn't see a presser when that child njugu zake zilimwagwa. I don't know if you saw that clip. We didn't see them coming out and saying a certain community is being targeted. Sakaja is doing this to, you know, to the less fortunate. But we didn't see them. We never see them when right now the number of deaths have risen to 160. You know, those affected by floods and all. And now even there's an outbreak of cholera in some places like Lamu and all. Now, when you think about it, at what point does it really concern the politician to now speak concerning either their constituency, where they're coming from, their community, their gender? Because those who are affected are women and children. Men and women are being affected by floods. But the entire parliament actually should now be speaking about it because it cuts across. Why do you think when it's about mwananchi, the issues of mwananchi, the very germane issues, inakuwa for them, they keep silent. For Margaret, they come together and it's a chorus.
No, they can only speak of mwananchi when they need votes. But as long as you voted them, we still have, they don't want to start campaigning early. Like right now, I think what would have been priority was to declare some national emergency because of the people who've lost lives, died to floods. I would expect to see MPs from the eastern, that is the lower eastern and the upper eastern and the northeastern parts of the country, telling Speaker that no funds for El Nino, then no parliament. That one did not happen. People died. Some areas are not reachable. They cannot be accessed. The helicopters have not been sent there. People are really suffering. But their MPs cannot disrupt the sitting and tell the Speaker that not unless you address the issue that is facing our people, will not allow the parliament to proceed. But I saw MPs protesting that if the CDF money is not released today before they go for recess, then there will be no parliament. Yet, the school fees that they claim is going to be paid next year in January. But there are people who are dying. There are people who've died and they continue dying, and the roads are flooded. The bridges are needed there. But I didn't hear any MP saying that, okay, the bridges are needed. So if we cannot have money to fix these bridges, we cannot have money to fix these dams, then we are not going to have a session. So that one tells you they will always ask themselves, is there anything for us? for us to participate. So they will always have to serve the interest first, is when they serve your interest second. So as a voter, what I taught myself is that I just need to lower my expectations. And if I'm having some high expectations, then I need to throw myself in the field and contest so that I can be able to try and maybe fulfill those expectations. But expecting someone else who believes otherwise to perform according to expectations, that is really impossible. So we need to lower our expectations. We've already understood, we've lived long enough in this country that we've understood the kind of people that we have in leadership. So now that we understand the kind of people we have in leadership, so but I don't think it will be easy to do away with these people, because we've already been programmed. You see, when a pen is speaking, she lived during Moi, she lived during Kibaki and all these regimes. At least he can be able to understand and make some comparisons. But what are you going to tell that child who is going to vote for the first time in 2027, or the one who voted for the first time in 2022, that person who just turned 18 years old? This somebody who was born when Kibaki, I think, was the president. This somebody who never undergone through hardship, and the kind of the people who raised them also did not raise them in a hard way. So it's really hard. It was easy for people maybe to fight the evils that were done by Moi, because these people were raised in hardship. So this hardship hardened them and made them to be better people. But there's a generation that we are having, our generation. We are a generation who were born when things were okay. We have a generation who are born when you just walk to school, the shoes is there, everything is there. So how will you tell them that these things are wrong? So it's really, some work needs to be done. And we cannot change the people who are adults by now. We can only change the generation that maybe we are raising. So what we are doing now will change this country in the next 20 years. But before 20 years, I'm telling you, in 2027, if Ruto contests, don't be surprised, he will still be voted. The same voters. So if you want to change this country, then we need to start changing the little ones that we are raising now. So they are the ones who are going to actualize this change. But for you, your age, Jax, I can tell you just need to lower expectations and start training your kids so that they'll be able to get what you hoped for.
If you're just joining us, this is what we are discussing. This is what is informing our discussion. Let me play you this clip. This is what is forming our discussion. I don't know if you can hear it.
Over non-disbursement of constituency development funds. Efforts by the leader of majority, Kimani Ichung'wah, to assure legislators
Oh my goodness.
to the National Assembly, where there was a bit of drama, as the National Assembly was adjourned after members of Parliament staged a walkout over non-disbursement of constituency development funds. Efforts by the leader of majority, Kimani Ichung'wah, to assure legislators the Treasury Cabinet Secretary will address the issue on the final day of proceedings to Christmas recess fell on deaf ears as MPs gave him their back, with Deputy Speaker Gladys Shillelagh being left with no option but to adjourn the session.
With just 48 hours before Parliament breaks for the 2 months Christmas recess, agitated members of the National Assembly ended Tuesday's afternoon session prematurely. The legislators unanimously chanting, "No CDF, no recess." No CDF, no parliament. No CDF, no parliament. The parliamentary sergeant of arms watching helplessly as MPs demonstrated around parliament buildings, bringing activities to a halt.
It is now 6 months down the line. The government is always supporting their executive programs to the detriment of CDF. So what we are saying is that we have suspended all sittings, all government businesses until CDF is expanded to our schools.
Attempts by Majority Party Whip Silvanus Osoro to access the main chamber were futile as he was tackled and roughed up by his colleagues who had erected a roadblock to the chambers. It all started inside the chamber when the leader of the minority party, Opiyo Wandayi, stating that MPs had not received CDF for the past 6 months, a move that will jeopardize bursary for Form 1 student intake program.
In fact, it's an issue that would necessitate this House taking drastic measures. We have not been told yet what is the justification for the National Treasury not releasing the funds which is earmarked for the NGCDF to the NGCDF board. We are not aware.
Attempts by leader of the majority party, Kimani Ichung'wah, assuring legislators that the Treasury CS will address the floor during the final proceedings before recess on Thursday morning, were futile as MPs walked out of the chamber.
Honorable members.
Honorable Speaker, if members can allow me to finish, because as the Speaker has indicated, this matter is not contested by anybody, not even the leader of majority. That is why I took the liberty even before the matter was raised before the House, because you all forget that I represent the people of Kikuyu.
The MPs vowing to halt the remaining sessions until the demands are met. Seth Olale, Citizen TV.
Okay. Sorry, I'm sharing using my phone. I don't know if am I clear? Ninaonekana?
Okay. Yeah, you're very clear.
It's difficult to operate through the phone. But when you look at that, Nyagaka, they are about to go for a recess, for a 2 months recess. But they're complaining there is no CDF. Probably it's because when they go to their villages, they don't have money to give people for Christmas and
exactly.
all that.
Exactly.
But they're using the excuse of people joining schools in January, the Form 1s and all, as an excuse. But I tend to think it's because they will be at home for 2 months, where some who have not done any development in their region will be questioned. So they want to go with money so as to bribe 1 or 2 guys to appear good, but really it has nothing Mwananchi in it. I ask you, was this a genuine protest from where you see?
No, you called it. You called it off. You called it right there, the way it's supposed to be. I mean, the way it is. It's just the money that they're looking for to go home with. That's all it is. There's nothing there. I mean, some of us even stopped thinking when, like I said, the money that they are talking about giving the kids to go to school, that's not their job. Parliament, I guess, all of them don't know what Parliament is for. Is to make the laws of the land, not to distribute whatever the food or the money for school fees or anything. That is not the work of Parliament. You're too Jackson, you're not Sumbua. When I came here today, kwa sababu nani alikuwa anasema the revolutionary ilisikiza jana sana because I was in a certain meeting and I wasn't able to come in. But the revolutionary jana alisema mzuri sana kwa sababu nani leo amesema kidogo. Wengi wetu, some of us personally, I was a young person when we were getting independence. And at this time, the Mzee Kenyatta was not in the Mau Mau. But 90% of the people in Kenya today will think that Mzee Kenyatta was in a Mau Mau. Vile revolutionary alikuwa anasema huku Kapenguria alikuwa anawekwa tu huku na wazungu analindwa. And the way Revolutionary was saying it, it was all true, but how do we get away from this? Vile alikuwa anasema ati nani Ruto amenunuliwa na IMF na nini. How do we get away from this? Because mzee Kenyatta alikuwa ni puppet ya wazungu, akaweka mzee Moi ambaye kusoma hata kitu kidogo. Alafu nani Kibaki, when he came along, he was just trying to clean up the system the way it was. And the Kenyatta's son, and you have seen what he has done. He took all the money from Kenya and they took to the islands. And then along the way, he co-opted Raila Odinga to come in, and Raila kept quiet from all the arguments that he was making. And now he's attacking Ruto. So we have seen all of it. But for us, vile nilikuwa nataka niambie Revolutionary na nitakwambia Jakes, ni kwamba what we are doing today is better off, because there was a time when the IMF and World Bank will not give Moi even a penny. People died in the hospitals in Kenya and everywhere because the Kenyan paper money was bankrupt when it was following, and they say no. Now this is the same people are pushing all this money to Kenya, but what really helps us, some of us, Jakes, ni kwamba these are the people who really helped Southeastern Asian countries to be where they are, IMF and World Bank. But the first thing to do is to really do away with corruption. Na tumeona kwamba nani Ruto is trying very hard to do away with corruption. Kawache watu wengi wa ODM watasema no. Lakini hii kufanya away with corruption will only help the people of Kenya, will help us a lot. Lakini vile Revolutionary alikuwa anasema jana, our history is very, very dirty. Imetengenezwa na watu wengine, sio sisi wenyewe tumetengeneza hii history. We were used, but what we do is, if we do away with corruption, and we see that Ruto is trying to do his best to do away with corruption, that will be better off. Lakini the word he was saying is 100% right. Lakini what is the end result? Kwa sababu hamwezi kuwa mnakaa na mkisumbuka for the rest of your lives. Wengi wetu tumekuwa wazee sasa, lakini we observed all this. Jakes alikuwa anasema vitu ambavyo, no. Huyu Revolutionary alikuwa anasema vitu ambavyo amesoma. Since we have lived through it, and we have seen the good and mostly the bad. But mzee Kenyatta alikuwa anatuambia mtu ambaye anaishi mahali analindwa na wapeperu ni mtumwa. But sio hatukujua kwamba yeye himself was being used. And along the way, when they killed Tom Mboya and all this history, we know it. But where we are going to right now is to make sure that we can do away with corruption. That way we can help ourselves. Hakuna mtu mwingine atakuja kutusaidia, ni sisi wenyewe tutajisaidia. Thank you, James.
Now, when I look at this video, I see Majimbo Karasinga together with Kinapita Kaluma. They were the ones who are gatekeeper, preventing members of parliament from entering the chambers. And of course, there were many shouting. Here I see Kukona, all parties, I think they are here. I am seeing Wiper members here, ODM members are there, some UDA, ANC members they are there. I see them, including Mr. Is it called Hamala or Kamala or something? But it is interesting that when you see them coming together, shouting their lungs off,
it's when they want the money.
It's not that it's a bill that, it's when they want the money. That's when they become uncontrollable, fighting and almost. Some of them went home hoarse. They went home with no voices in their vocals because of shouting. But they have never shouted for any positive bill in parliament.
Right.
They have never brought in a legislation that affects the people of Kenya in a way that we will live to remember them Most of these politicians, we don't know how they operate, in the sense that they don't appear when there is great motions and conversations happening. But today they couldn't miss. Today they couldn't miss this protest. They couldn't miss this altercation, simply because money. And this money is not for you directly, Mwananchi. This money is for them to control.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what informed our conversation today. And I had with me Leo and Pen Nyagaka. You can catch this and more drama in Africa. And we will be playing more of this even as we go on. All right. Now, Nyagaka, there is a show coming on Sunday. Please don't miss this one. And even you, Mwananchi, watching us, there is a show coming on Sunday that will deal with land matters. Have you ever been conned? Do you want to buy land? Do you know the process of buying land? What do you know about land? Right? In Kenya, a lot is happening. Unasikia umenunua land and it has issues. You know, you buy land and it's classified as a riparian land. It's classified as private land, as grabbed land. What do you know about land? Right? This coming Sunday at 10 p.m. Kenyan time, we'll have a great conversation happening here at Africa. We'll have great guests in the show, and this is a show you don't want to miss. This is a show you don't want to miss. These are experienced people in matters land. We have seen demolitions of houses. Yeah. Just recently, we saw houses being demolished in Cumberland, and people were all over complaining. Of course, the Portland Cement said it was their land. So we want to find out, did the people do their due diligence when they were buying the land? You Kenyan, do you know how to go about it when you're buying land in Kenya? So watch this promo even as you prepare for Sunday. Invite a friend to catch on this program that will happen on Sunday. Watch this. Sorry for that. The dates are wrong, but it's happening this Sunday. So we'll definitely we're keeping you updated so that you join us and have a great feel even in that show on Sunday. We will be telling you more in the coming days, but please don't miss on Sunday's show. It will be a good one. We will have 2 shows back to back. We'll have that show and another one after that. But that show will basically deal with land matters. Do you know someone who has been robbed of their money? Those in diaspora. Have you sent money to buy land only for you to realize it was fraudulent? Nyagaka, do you have an experience in land? Have you been robbed of your money?
No, I've really been lucky. I have nyumba huko Kitengera. I mean, Donham na nina shamba hapo Kitengera, about an acre and a half. But I bought it a long time ago. And I was lucky with that. But my question to you is, do this gentleman or lady, do they have the pieces of land or they have information? Do they have land or they have information?
Now, stick around to find out. They have more than enough information. They have been in the industry for quite some time. They have enough knowledge. They have enough wealth of information that will benefit you, our viewers, and you, Nyagaka, and everyone else. They are, fun enough, they have worked in institutions that deal with land, so they have vast knowledge. You don't want to miss. We'll equally bring you a story of someone who has been conned. So don't miss that show. Don't miss that show where I see a good friend of mine, Apa Goodia, saying one land owned by 1,000 people. Yeah, there are so many sad stories of how people have been robbed of their hard-earned money, especially when it comes to land matters. So stick around. Sunday will be a good day. So please join us then. We will have that show. Allow me to repeat the promo for you. It's happening this Sunday. Please keep watch. Be there. Be there. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We are discussing the land matters. Have you been conned? Yeah. Do you know how to buy a piece of land? Do you know the processes? Do you know what you need to do when you're buying a piece of land? Those in Kenya, do you know? Do you just buy? You know, there's so many agencies selling land. Do you do your due diligence before you buy land? Ama, do you fall for how they use celebs? You know, they use renowned people to market. Yeah, they use renowned media stations to market their land, you know, and then they sell to you only for you to realize there's something fraudulent in it. Yeah, you have heard of so many stories. You have heard of so many stories of real estate and realtors who have been robbing people dry of their hard-earned money. Don't fall victim. Watch the show. Watch the show. You might have been lucky in the previous arrangements and how you bought your current land, or maybe, but Kenyans are becoming interesting. Wanna con left, right, and center. Learn the new tricks they are using. Learn the tactics that have been happening when you are buying land, and so that you don't be conned. We are promising you to give you the very, very best of our content. So kindly make sure you subscribe to our free, and don't miss that Sunday show. You don't want to miss this one. It shall be a good one. This one will be a very interesting show. Make sure you don't miss this show. It will be on Sunday. It will be on Sunday. Okay, don't mind the dates in that clip. We'll work on that. I didn't notice it had a wrong date, but the date is this coming Sunday on 10th, 10 p.m. Kenyan time. I think it will be 2 p.m. in the US. Yeah, those in US. I think it will be around 11. Those in the UK, I'm not sure. I think so. But whatever time it will be in your country, make sure you catch that show with us. I see a friend of mine saying, I've been a victim. So good, dear. Send in your question and your experience and how you ended up being a victim. Please make sure you catch this show here at Afrique. It will be this Sunday, 10 p.m. The normal time that the show begins at 10 p.m. Kenyan time. It will be the same time that show will begin. So don't miss on that show. Please invite a friend, tell a friend, prepare your questions, ask your questions. We will definitely sample them out to the experts and let us find out what you guys want to hear. I see Goodyear, you're saying that you have been a victim and you can't wait for Sunday. Thank you very much, Goodyear, and many of you who will watch the program. Kindly tell a friend to tell a friend about that show happening this Sunday from 10 p.m. Kenyan time. You don't want to miss that one. It shall be educative, it shall be informative, and it's something you don't want to miss. It's going to be a good one. Please don't miss this one. We'll be having an engineer. You will be having people who are well learned, people who have great knowledge when it comes to land. So please, this one you don't want to miss. The first show we are doing among many shows lined up for you. Don't miss this Sunday at 10 p.m. This one you will enjoy. This one is a must watch. Please prepare for it. You don't want to be conned. You don't want to lose your hard-earned money. Imagine this, working all your lifetime only for all that money to be stolen or rather to be taken from you by a cunning individual. Huku nje watu si wazuri. And that's why here at Africa, we choose to inform you, we choose to educate you, to give you the correct information. Stick around, be there on Sunday, learn more about land, yeah? Learn more about land so that you don't fall prey and victim to many who have been swindled off their hard-earned money, right? Don't miss this one. This one is a good one. This one, Wadau, this one you must watch. It is happening this Sunday at 10 p.m. One more time for you. There are topics there that will be tackled in the show. So watch out on the promo. And you want to buy land in Kenya, this is a show you must watch. This is a show you must watch. You will hear of someone who, while in abroad, was sending money. Let me not remove all the juice from the show, but kutakuwa na story hapo moja kali ya msee akiwa tu majuu alifanywa ile kitu. So ukitaka kujua alifanywa kitu gani, please stick around. Watch this one. Watch this one. Above all, subscribe to Afric 24. Subscribe to our channel Afric 24, where this and other shows will be happening. This and other shows will be happening. So subscribe to Afric 24 kindly. Kimbia hapo Afric 24 and subscribe to Afric 24 YouTube. Sorry, kimbia hapo YouTube and subscribe to Afric 24. Hapa Afric, we have you covered. We have you covered. So kimbia Afric 24 and subscribe. Kimbia Afric 24 and subscribe. Subscribe. Did I say subscribe? Kindly subscribe to Afric 24 and let us keep you entertained. This and other shows will be on Afric 24. So kimbia hapo Afric 24, subscribe. Let this be your #1 digital channel. Asante sana kwa wale wamesubscribe. As I promised you, my guys, I'll be awarding you. So stick around, watch as even those who will be awarded receive their prizes. See you on Sunday. Of course, we have shows till Sunday, but see you on Sunday for this one show you don't want to miss. All right, and more shows will be coming up, as I told you, despite the hiccups here and there. Tunaweka mambo vizuri, and you will be definitely enjoy the viewership, and you being here, you'll enjoy our programming. You will enjoy our programming. Thank you so much, those of you who took time to watch our program. Allow me to read 2 or 3 shout-outs. Thank you, Brother Benson. I see you, my friend. Hope you're well. I see Goodyear. Asante sana Goodyear for always keeping us company. Kevin Mutanda, sorry. Asante sana. I see Leo was with me on the panel and equally very busy at the comment section. Asante sana, Mr. Leo. I see Bernard Nambe was in the house. Asante sana for your comment and for your sentiments as well. Thank you very, very, very much. We appreciate you who choose and take time to watch our program. We never take it for granted. You are very special and dear to us. Penyagaka, asante sana. I see your comment. I see you, Vincent Kibor. Asante sana for your comment. Thank you very much, Roslyn Ochieng, for your for your comment. Asante sana. We saw it and we appreciate your feedback. Thank you, asante sana, KL Mark, for your feedback as well. You who took time to like this video, tunakushukuru sana. Why? Because you took time to love and like our video. Asante sana. Mr. Kelvin Mutanda, asante, I see you. Deno Amara, asante kwa kulike hii video. Edgar Nyambane, I really am grateful for you liking the video. Robert Kadewa, asante sana kwa kulike hii video. Marlon Malachi, asante sana. Ambrose Barasa, na kuona, asante sana. Jambo Tizi Sikainyika, we sawa, asante sana kwa kulike hii video. Naomio Chamatangi, we Chamutangi, sawa. Asante sana kwa kulike hii video, and many of you who are watching, many of you who subscribed to Afric 24, you guys are just but amazing. We don't take you for granted. We appreciate all the support you have handed unto us, even as we continue to air out your grievances through this show, what you feel against the government or what you seem is good about the government. You speak as Azimio, you speak as Kenya Kwanza, you speak as a neutral person, whatever form you are, here is your show. Thank you, and thank you very much. This is Afric. This has been your evening show. Situkutane kesho jioni majaliwa. For the morning show, we are about to resume it. We have had some few hiccups, but we are now almost coming back. And when we are coming back, I guarantee it shall be full throttle, no reverse gear, no more delays. Neither will we deny you the opportunity to enjoy all our programming. So tomorrow evening at 10, make time as well to enjoy another great show. I've been your host, Jakes, the moderator. With me, I was with Leo Nyambane and Nyabaya, and with Mr. Pen Nyagaka. It was always a pleasure. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow. Let's do this again. I'm your host, Jakes, the moderator, and this is Afric 24. This is Afric TV. Remember to subscribe. Make this your #1 channel hapo kwa YouTube. Asante sana wadau. Good night. Goodbye. God love you.